Hey, what's going on, everybody? It is episode 119 of the Audible Farm Podcast, and this episode is brought to you by Couchtown Coffee. Couchtown Coffee will roast coffee specifically for you and ship it to your house. That's one of my favorite things about them. I recently got an order, and it was pretty fun. I'm going to take a picture and put it up on social media here in the next couple days, so keep looking out for that on the Audible Farm channels. Order yourself some Couchtown Coffee this holiday season. You can save 20% by using the code word AudibleFarm. Just go to couchtowncoffee.com. Find the coffee you like, make an order, let them know Audible Farm sent you, and they will give you 20% off. Why? Because Couchtown Coffee is that awesome. This week I'm sitting down talking with Stephanie Miller. Stephanie is the singer, I guess one of the singers in the Screaming Artichokes. Last week I was talking to Billy Lynn, and he also sings in the same band. So it's kind of cool. I got him on here back to back talking this week. Stephanie, I've seen her sing for quite a while. I've known her for most of my life. I'm not going to ruin any of the fun stories before the podcast on this one, but I just want to let you know we get into how she started singing, where she sang after high school, because that's always an interesting one to me. There's not a whole lot of stuff going on after high school, so shout out to her for finding something to do to keep her busy singing-wise after high school and enjoying her endeavors, and then finding a band that she enjoys singing with afterwards. So it's kind of a fun story. Enjoy this one. It's episode 120, and I'm sitting down with Stephanie Miller, singer for the Screaming Artichokes.
It's the Audible Farm Podcast with your host, Peter Stockdale.
All right, today I'm sitting down with Stephanie Miller. Stephanie, you sing in the band Screaming Artichokes. We've known each other for quite a while, actually. You and I grew up in the same town, went to school, grade or so apart, and you've always kind of been a singer as far as I've known, even from a young age you sang. So I always like to ask this to singers, how do you figure out you can sing?
Oh, that's a good question. Probably just from messing around at a very young age. And my mom was actually, both me and my twin sister, when we started singing, whatever age that is, 3, whatever, she just thought, oh, these guys can sing, and just really encouraged it. So that's really what sparked our singing right there.
Did anyone else in your family sing or anything like that?
That's a funny thing. My mom cannot sing. Anybody on her side they can't carry a note. It's horrible. Horrible.
So did you get it from the dad's side of the family then, probably?
And my dad, his name is Jeff. He does a lot of singing. He did acting.
Oh, cool.
Yes, he did musicals, all kinds of stuff. He's a great singer. Plays the guitar.
That's wild.
Yeah.
Did you grow up around him and know that that he did all this stuff and that's what kind of got you into it, or did you just randomly start singing?
No, yes and no. My dad was actually not. He lived in a different state growing up, okay. So we typically were lucky if we got to see him once a year.
Yep.
He wasn't always present in our lives, but when we did see him, it was usually in the summertime, so it was like the whole summer. Mm-hmm. And so he did a lot of the music there. He'd whip out his guitar. I remember singing with him, Bobby McGee or some he likes country.
Yep.
So a lot of country songs he used to sing, and I remember singing along with him, and it was a lot of fun.
That's cool. I'm not going to be like, nobody in my family sang, but I didn't come from a very musical family. I had one uncle that played guitar and sang, and that was pretty much it, as far as my whole extended family, even cousins and things like that. I don't think anybody plays any music or what in my family. So
that's kind of like mine though, because it really is just my dad that I can think of. Like I said, my mom's side, they can't play instruments. They cannot sing. Oh, it's not good.
Oh, that's a good one here. Okay, so I'm assuming you do all the chorus all the way through elementary school, and then when it's an elective, you were like, I'm gonna actually sing in junior high and high school. I'm sure. Did you do that when you were in junior high and high school?
Was it an elective?
You in junior high, you didn't have to take chorus.
Oh yeah, then I definitely did.
Yeah,
but I didn't finish high school, so there was a point where I was too cool for school and switched to alternative. But yes, I remember doing all the talent shows, Sound Stations, made it every year. Well, one year I got kicked out by Mrs. Boyd. I didn't go to a chorus concert because I didn't want to go, and so she told me I couldn't sing that year.
Well, I mean, I got asked to not come back because I sang so poorly. Like, and I'm not trying to be like, well, this teacher was mean or whatever. I was bad. Like, I just wasn't good at singing. I didn't get it. And it's like, sing these notes. It's like, what? How? You know? And nobody ever told me. So it's just like, meh, you're just like out there just like making noise, and it's horrible sounding. And I mean, I guess
I just remember I tried out with Alanis Morissette, Ironic, and so she kicked me out. So the following year would have been the year I went to high school. So I tried out with theirs. I don't know what it was called. Do you know?
Oh yeah, there was
it
Soundsations.
Was it Soundsations?
Yeah, and then Stars Night was the one at the junior high.
Right.
Yep.
So the following year when I went up there, I tried out again with the same song and made it. And then I remember singing it, and I remember it was back when we wore like Jinko jeans, and I remember I bought like a Goonies shirt, so I was wearing like Jinko jeans and a Goonies shirt up there singing Ironic by Alanis Morissette, and I was so nervous about what people thought, if they thought I did a good job. I called into school the next day, and I didn't go. And so then when I finally went back after that, I got so many compliments, and I'm like, oh, see, it wasn't that bad, you know?
I will have to say this. The people that went up in front of their high schools and did anything related to music, like kudos to all of you guys.
Yeah.
It is some of the most nerve-wracking and pseudo-judgmental time you'll ever have to deal with.
Right.
There's video of me in a band in high school. We played some songs at like a pre-prom or whatever, and I don't know, someone's parent was out in the crowd videotaping it, but there's like kids around. You can like audibly hear kids laughing at us while we're playing, because it's just how kids are in high school. But you know, because I'm sure I did the same thing to everyone else with whatever they liked. But you know, it's one of those things. It's tough, and it's you know, I totally feel you for like being like, I want to call in and just not go in tomorrow, you know? Like,
but I was shocked. Everybody said I sounded awesome. I'm like, oh, I was kind of shocked. I was like, nobody said anything bad. And
yeah, I mean, those are the kind of things that actually like secretly steal the shows, because it's just like, you know, you can have some kids in a band and it's like, well, this is neat. They sound all right. You know, it's cool or whatever.
Yeah.
But if you have you singing with a backing track, it's just like, I didn't even know this chick could sing. And then there's parents there that I'm sure were just like, I have to sit through these kids making noise, and it's going to be enjoyable to an extent. And then all of a sudden, someone that can actually sing well comes out there like you, and they're just like, oh, holy cow, this is cool. You know, like I didn't expect this at all out of a high school student, and you know, out of your free time. And
you know, I sing a lot back then, more than people ever knew. My mom actually, when me and my twin sister, probably starting at, I want to say 11 or 12, she would take us to bars, you know, not so much in Humboldt, but the little towns around that would have karaoke. We'd be like 12 years old, and she'd kind of take us in there and be like, I was wondering if I'm with them, can my girls sing? And then we would make it like an every week thing where we would get these bars to let us stay, you know, late and do karaoke nights. And we're like 12, 13 in a bar hanging out with my mom singing karaoke.
Yeah. I mean, you can pull that off in a small town.
Yeah,
In larger cities, they're a little less apt to be like, you know.
I don't know if they'd really let too many people do that now even, but
it'd be pretty rough. I mean, they'd probably keep you on a really short leash if you did. Because I know that I've played shows in Des Moines where they don't allow minors in bars after
like
9 at all. But I've been booked with kids that are minors that play on shows, and they're like, have someone else hook all your stuff up, walk in, play, and walk out. Like, and it's like,
yeah. I think in a band setting, it'd probably be a little bit more.
They still kind of try to wrench it down pretty hard, you know. And it's, I mean, I've been on shows where it's like, we can't book these guys because they're not old enough, and this bar is not going to bend at all on these rules, you know. And I totally get it. As a matter of fact, in some of those cities, they'll do 2 shows a night, you know, where it's like 5 till 9 is the all ages show, and then we have to like literally like kick everyone out, close, and then reopen with a door fee for the night show. You know,
that's kind of cool that they give time for the younger kids.
Yeah, I mean, that's like the good and bad thing though, because it's like downtown Des Moines, and it's always like, well, who's gonna go to the show at 5? You know, on a downtown Des Moines show.
The crowd's like your family and friends.
Yeah, but
that's all that matters.
Yeah,
right?
Those are the funnest shows though,
yes,
too.
They are.
You know, the people that want to go to those shows are the people that are going to be at those shows. So that's the best part about it too. You know. Right. It's really cool that like I guess I didn't know your dad was musical growing up, and you know, it's really cool that you have somebody that, you know, like you said, even though you didn't get to see him all the time, you still got to spend time with him and like kind of soak a little bit of that up. You know, it's like firsthand, be like, holy cow, you know. I feel like a lot of people that can sing and do musical things come from families that are musical. So they look around them and they're like, oh, this is possible. You know, I was listening to a comedian talking the other day. It was Pete Corielli. It was one of his comedy bits, maybe on a special he did. But he was talking about, he's like, if the guitar, if somebody invented the guitar today and nobody had ever played it, you'd be like, that's impossible. Nobody can do this. Like, but the fact that everyone's been doing it for so long, it's like, oh, this is possible, you know? And then like, imagine having that like in your own family where you're like, oh, you know, the piano's not hard. My parents can both play it, you know, or my sister can do it. So all you have to do is just take the lessons and learn, you know, or whatever, you know?
Right. I think of Dan Blair when I think of that because it comes from a musical family.
Yep. Yeah, definitely. And that's one of those things everybody has to work at it, even people that come from musical families. Some of it comes natural to an extent, but like, you know, you still have to work at it.
Yes.
So you ended up doing chorus when you were in junior high and high school. Did you end up trying any instruments?
I did. I played band and I played the trombone. And so I was really good. I loved it. I remember practicing for hours, driving my mom crazy. Did All-State, made it to All-State, got second chair there, and then did the, what do they call it, honor band, when they had the honor band. Yeah. And I loved it. It was hard, though, because I was like the only girl at the time. And so, you know, I got a lot of crap for it, but I'm like, whatever, I don't care.
You know, that's pretty wild because, like, those band kids can be pretty cutthroat. There's some band kids out there that practice hours and hours and hours and hours a day just to get good because they want that first chair, you know?
Well, and I got a lot of crap. I mean, I won't name names, but I remember who they were. But some of the guys, there was one person that was always nice and was always like, yeah, you deserve first chair. But some of the other guys that played the trombone with me would talk crap all the time. They'd be like, oh, you shouldn't have that spot. And I'm thinking, whatever.
Yeah, it's just band, like first chair and stuff. I mean, eventually I kind of just gave up on the whole, like, I want to sit up front. And I found it more fun to play like counter melodies anyways. So like I sat in like second and third trumpet.
Well, we didn't choose who got first chair or second chair. I just played. They told me I got first chair. I'm like, that's...
I mean, that was another thing where it's like, we're doing testing for this to see who gets to sit in what chairs. And it's just like, I'm just not even going to practice because I don't care if I sit second or third trumpet parts, you know? And I mean, when I did practice, when I was in junior high, I played a lot. I mean, I practiced a lot and I got pretty good in junior high, but by the time I got to high school, I just didn't really feel like practicing too much.
Yep. That's kind of where I dropped off.
Yeah. And I mean, even when I practiced though, I never got asked to go to honor bands or anything like that. So
I wasn't big into marching band either.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Definitely. Marching band was tough. And then, you know, the transition from street marching to field marching was what we did when we went to high school.
That's when I quit. I'm like, nope, this is too much for me.
It was pretty wild. The first year we did field marching and stuff was very, very basic stuff. I mean, it's not like, it's almost like we're making a triangle now. Now we're making a square. You know, it wasn't quite that bland, but it was pretty close to that. And then we got a new band director and she was like, we're going to do some crazy stuff. So we started like making crazy images and like melting them together into different stuff.
Oh, wow.
It was wicked. It took a lot of time and practice. Unfortunately, also, I played football. So the only time they ever got to perform other than competitions was at the halftime of the football game. So I never even got to do any of the performances unless it was a professional performance or whatever. And that was tough because it's like these kids all have so much more practice performing than I do. And then I got to show up, you know, and try to get it all down pat on a competition day. So it's tough. I mean, I think that playing an instrument, doing anything is difficult, even if you're like playing guitar and singing or, you know, whatever it happens to be. I mean, even if you're just like playing guitar and trying to call out like chord changes and stuff, it's not necessarily as easy as you think.
I don't know how you guys, the guy, you know, like even Bill playing and singing, I'm like, you know, I'm sitting here, I just sing right now. So I'm like, I kind of feel bad sometimes because I'm like, maybe I need an instrument, you know, but then it pushes me. I'm like, okay, I got to make sure I know all these words. That's all I do is sing. So we got to make sure we at least get the words down. And
so would you ever like consider picking up an instrument to add to the band? I mean, like,
I would.
You could do something as simple as tambourine
okay, so here's the story. So after I started practicing with the Screaming Artichokes, I thought, gosh, I wish I could do an instrument. So I bought a harmonica. And I thought, well, maybe I could do some cool stuff with this. But I had it in my purse in a case for about 2 or 3 months, and I didn't try it once. No. So then I gave it to my kid. I'm like, here, you want a harmonica? But no, I've been talking to Bill. I think, you know, if somebody's willing to kind of show me a little bit, I wouldn't mind. I don't know about guitar. I've tried playing that in the past, but I don't know. My hands are kind of small. Maybe that's just an excuse, but I couldn't pick it up. Maybe I just didn't want to practice enough.
I'm over here smiling. I'll tell you.
Right.
From giving guitar lessons, I will say this: if you want to play the guitar,
You can play
the guitar.
I know. I figured that was your answer.
Because I mean, there's people. My hands are too big. My hands are too small. My hands are too fat.
Right.
My fingers are too skinny. I mean, it's just like I've heard it all, you know. And then somebody once showed me a video like. This guy, it's Tal Farlow for anybody who knows jazz music. But they were like, watch Tal Farlow play. And the guy's got like summer sausage sized fingers. And it's like, oh, this guy can literally just shred a guitar in ways that I don't even know what he's doing. And it's like, oh,
yeah,
there's no excuses.
But I think if I did pick something, I think the keyboard or piano would be cool because, you know, that's something just like the guitar, you can kind of play and sing at the same time. And looking at some of the bands in our area, you don't see a lot of us playing that. So
I agree.
You know, and I did buy a keyboard a while back prior to all this. I went through a keyboard phase and then it was one of those things I bought. It kind of practiced a little bit. I could have, had I applied myself, I think I could have done it, but I got busy with life and then just sold it. So that's actually something I've been thinking about. I'm like, well, maybe I should buy another one and give it another try.
I could see you doing that.
Right.
I could see somebody giving you like the basic pointers and you just applying that and having it be something so important to the band. You know, there's so many bands that I feel like this could use a keyboard part, but it's always hard to find a keyboardist willing to join a band, honestly. Like, you know, bands are dominated by drum, guitar,
Right.
bass, you know, and it's like, that's it. You know, there's no room for anyone else. Singer, you know.
I mean, if I could throw a trombone, but that's a hard one to kind of throw in a style
unless you're
music.
playing ska music, it's not really going
Right,
to fit
right.
that well. Shout out to old sports team videos. There was a band for a while in Ottumwa that ran around with the trombone, and their lead singer played trombone, and it was insane. It was so good. I should show you some videos of that, or I'll send them to you or something.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
So it's possible.
I still have my trombone.
Nice.
I do.
I've got my trumpet, but it's not faring too well age-wise.
Yeah, neither is mine.
I was not.
We should whip them out one day. It'd be funny.
Can you still read any music? Like if somebody put some sheet music in front of you, you think you could just be like, oh, holy cow.
You know, I question that because, you know, as good and as much as I practice, you know, a lot of times I think I would need a little bit of a refresher. But I think with most people who've played something like that and they played for a while and played good, it would probably come back to me naturally. But it would probably take me a minute. I think if I first looked at it, I'd be like, okay, what does that mean? But if I just went through the basics again, I think I'd catch on fast.
Yeah, like this is the one that everybody played 400 million times. You remember the concert B flat scale?
Oh my gosh. Right.
You know, I can still play that, you know, and I believe it or not, I busted the trumpet out a few years ago just for fun, just to be like honk, you know, and I still have a bunch of marching band music and like street marching music and the whole like, you know, Yankee Doodle Dandies and all those nonsensical songs. It's
Right.
I can actually play a lot of these still, you know, and
Yeah.
it's pretty wild. I mean, once you start, this one's got 4 flats, and it's like, oh, well, I'm going to have to think on this one, but we can do this. But
See, I'd like to try it out, but I let my kid play with it a little bit, and he lost a mouthpiece, so I'd have to get a new mouthpiece.
oh, yeah, they're definitely not cheap. I mean, they're not like bazillion
Right.
dollars, but
No.
have fun spending $20-$40 on a
Right,
mouthpiece,
right.
you know? That's a rough one, too, where you're like, well, now I've got $40 invested into relearning the trombone.
To learn a trombone that's like dented and has like no brass left, like the mouthpiece is probably worth more than the rest of it.
I wish there was more of an application for like, you know, trombones, trumpet players,
Right.
saxophone players and stuff like as you got older. I mean, there's community bands and community choruses and there's like things that people can do in bands like that. But it was pretty cool to be able to sit down with like 100 of your peers and play a song together.
Yeah, it was.
Especially like, think about like how, and I'm not trying to say we all acted crazy when we were younger, but think how crazy everyone acts when they're in junior high.
Oh, yeah.
Like I don't know too many people that would be like, all of the decisions I made in junior high were solid, you know? And so like you've got all these kids running around like chickens with their heads cut off, and somehow an instructor is able to wrangle you all together.
Right.
Like 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th grade, all the way through high school, they did all this stuff. And it's like, how did you guys get us all on the same page even?
I just know we had good band teachers.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know who the band teachers are now, but I thought they did a good job.
Yeah. I mean, I had Kathy Yoakum. I actually
Yep.
interviewed her on the podcast. She was my first band teacher. And then it was
Yep.
Tim Miller was
Yep.
the junior high, and he's like a silent hero around the area. Can play a lot of instruments very well and plays in Lone Tree Revival with Jeremy Ober. He plays in a band with him. They play like Chicago style tunes and stuff. It's really cool. I actually got to see him this last year. Finally, it was really awesome. But yeah, then I had Bob Hoffman, and he ended up leaving. Then it was Abby Fakis, and they were all really good. But it's just one of those crazy things I think about. Like we live, you and I come from a small town, and we still had like enough exposure to stuff like that where it's like we didn't come from a town that was so small where it's like your band is 12 kids.
Right.
And that's also pretty wild that like band was kind of people from all over. It's like you get like the whatever kids and the these kids and the those kids and all the different little cliques of kids, and it's just like there's a pile of us and we're all in band.
Yeah, it really was, because I do. You had the preppier kid. There was preppier kids in the band, and then there was me, and like
the less preppier kids.
Right. I think they called us dirt balls back then.
I don't know. Everybody had the nicknames in their different.
We loved
areas.
it. We're like, yeah, dirt balls for life.
Yeah, we identify with Pigpen on Peanuts. I love Peanuts. Anyways, we're gonna skip over the peanut talk. But you played guitar, or you played trombone, and you sang when you were in junior high school.
Yes.
How did you transition to music after high school? Because I feel like that's another important thing that the people that really want to play music after high school or have something to do with it find a way.
Yeah.
Because it's not like comes back to this. Not like there's a whole lot out there.
No. Obviously, I always do karaoke whenever I can. I'd say finally at my age now, it gets a little bit boring. I'm like, okay, I'm ready for something new. But I would sing anytime people would let me. I would sing for I sang for, the cancer walk they do at the high school. Mm-hmm. It was after I graduated, but I think it was Miss Kanishny ran into me once and was like, "You can sing, but we're doing the cancer walk, and would you do a song?" So I did, sang for the fundraiser, national anthem. I remember anytime anybody would ask me to do that, even at Rock and Picnic, that was totally not planned. I would sing the national anthem. When I was, I want to say 19, I tried out for American Idol. I didn't do so great. It wasn't that I sang bad, but that was more of a forced thing. My mom and grandma, they're all about reality TV, whatever. They forced me and Kayla to do it. So it was one of the, I didn't even have a song. I ended up singing, I think Walking After Midnight. And that was my grandma's choice. Mm-hmm. So I'm sure that's probably half the reason I didn't make it. I didn't pick a song that was me. I was singing a song which I love. Now my grandma influences all my music now that I love. And I'm like, now I would love to sing that song. I'd rock it. Mm-hmm. But back then I was a 19-year-old. And I'm like, this song is stupid, But, and that was a cool experience. American Idol. It was the first time where I was around thousands of people. I was in Minnesota at the Wells Fargo Arena. And, I was a little bit nervous to go in there, and you're just surrounded by thousands of people who love to sing as much as you do. I mean, we're sitting here waiting hours to try out, and just out in the hallways singing with random people, just breaking out in song. It was a really cool experience, actually.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Was that like the first round of tryouts then? Was in Minneapolis?
Yeah. So when you go into that arena, they have like these tents that and they're not the actual judges. So it's just people they pick, and then you would get a golden ticket if they accepted you. And then the next one would have been to meet the judges. So I never made it to meet the judges or anything, but it was still a cool experience and all that. And I've sang in weddings. I know I did a wedding a couple years ago. I sang in Abby and Josh McBurney's wedding, which was really cool. Yeah. And it is cool. It's a fun challenge to do weddings because, I don't get to pick the song. This is what they pick. So, and she picked country, which is not something I've done a whole lot. I sang Rascal Flatts, God Bless the Broken Road. Mm-hmm. And yeah, it was real cool. I just remember thinking, you're not going to need the words right. I'm like, no, I'm going to memorize the song for you. Don't worry. And I mean, I got a lot of compliments from that as well. And, I like a challenge. I don't like to sing song, whether it's a guy's song or a genre I don't like to do. I like to make it my own, but I'll sing whatever.
I was actually thinking about that when you were saying that you're singing a Rascal Flatts song. It made me think, like, is it difficult sometimes to find like a guy's song, like a guy's voice or his singing style or whatever, and be like, now let's turn this into a female stuff,
Well, I have a lower voice anyway, so I actually love covering guy songs, probably more than female songs, which Bill is pushing me in our band because I'm constantly like, I can't sing that high. And he's like, yes, you can. I'm like, fine. But yeah, no, covering guy songs isn't too bad.
Yeah.
I don't mind it at all.
It was a recent topic on another Iowa music podcast, actually the Iowa music podcast. Mike Schulte was talking about that, how he's in a band, the Pork Tornadoes, and they cover a lot of like female pop songs, but it's all guys singers.
Right.
And so if you guys haven't checked it out, check it out. It's insane. They got some crazy good singers in their band. It's wild. Some of their videos have like 4 or 5 million views on YouTube. It's
cool.
It's wild. So I always thought it was interesting to think like, I mean, you can have a preference, female, male, whatever, it doesn't matter. But like, it's weird when it's like, well, this is a female covering a male vocal song because it's on a guitar. It's not like the guitar is a female guitar,
Right.
It's still just a guitar, but we're talking about a voice and something that's very unique to somebody, And so that's pretty wild, I guess. Coming from me, someone who's not a very good singer, I can sing okay. It's passable.
Yeah, I heard you the other week.
It's passable.
It's passable.
Yeah, it's
not a lead vocalist, but it was okay.
It'll get me by. It'll get me by. Yeah, and I'm okay with that. I've come a long way since 8th grade when they were like, quit singing and go away. So I feel pretty good about it. But I also like someone was just like, here, tackle this female vocal song, or like I played a show once where I was playing acoustic guitar, and it's like, I chose some songs to sing that were like 80s hair metal songs. It's like, have fun trying to sing a Tesla song, especially if you have like about a 4-note range like I do. So I just dumbed everything down and squished it into a smaller range of notes and went with it. But I don't know. I'm blown away. Like I talked about it in a previous podcast, but I'm blown away that like we're all born with a voice.
Right.
We all talk every single day. We all have like the time and energy to perfect the way our voice sounds and does stuff, but only some people are good at singing.
Yeah.
How does that work?
I don't get it either. And one thing that amazes me is how many people I know that are really good at singing, but just cannot get up and sing. And, I always tell them it takes practice. You have to just get up and sing in front of people whenever you can to get to that point where you're comfortable doing it. Because I'm like, some people I hear and they would never sing in front of people. And I'm like, Jesus, you're good.
Yeah. I mean, that
should be doing this.
That comes back to that old thing where like if somebody's they like can't sing a lick to save their life, but then they like go in the shower and you're like put your ear up against the door and you're like, holy cow, they're singing great in there.
That's my
like,
favorite place to practice too, in the shower.
The acoustics are amazing.
Yes.
Somebody should create like a shower recording. I'm sure somebody has. But
I had fun. I work at a grain bin company. I'm an accountant there, and I got to go out to one of the bins they were putting up, and I went inside of one that was empty and started singing, and it sounded awesome. I was like, we should practice in one of these grain bins one of these times.
Dude, we've got an
cool.
empty cement silo out on the farm here, and I was thinking, somebody needs to do a recording inside of a silo. I've seen a couple people do them, but like, or even just dragging my guitar out there and recording like a portion of a song that I'm quote unquote trying to write or whatever out there just for fun, where it's like the natural reverb in here is so much better than anything you
It is. It just sounds cool.
Yeah. Oh,
that would be cool.
Speaking of recording stuff, you ever recorded anything before vocally?
Let me think. No, not yet.
Mm-hmm.
We are getting ready to record some stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I have not recorded
Artichokes.
yet. Yeah, Screaming Artichokes.
Yep.
So we're getting close, especially with COVID, because we can't really play a whole lot. So that's actually, hopefully, something we'll be doing here within, hopefully right after Christmas sometime.
Cool. Yeah. I think dinking around with recording stuff is something everyone should do. Once again, it's a topic that's crossed previous podcasts, but like if you have a laptop, you're like $100 away from having a recording studio. You just need a microphone interface and a microphone. It's really like that's it.
Right.
And nowadays you can get fancy software or whatever, but like nowadays there's people that just like plug their guitar in and
I've practiced and record myself with the phone, no microphone, but I know I'm like, someday somebody's going to pick up my phone and be like, what is this? And there's like videos of me singing songs. Like, I was practicing, okay?
I actually just recently went through, I for a while videotaped myself playing guitar because it was like, I don't know, the social media thing to do or whatever. And then I was just like, I'm going to quit putting these videos out. And I still recorded myself here and there, but I quit putting videos online, because there's other people out there so much better, and just let them do what they're doing. And
Yeah,
I'll
I
watch.
try not to think about that.
Yeah.
Because there's always going to be somebody better, or somebody doesn't like that song, or somebody this. Like,
True.
I've never put anything out on social media, though. That would be kind of cool.
Yeah, it's really nerve-wracking and stuff. Like one of the first things that like I created was like I painted it's not around here. I painted a guitar and like posted it up there with some music and was just like, check this out, and everyone took to it pretty nicely. And that's kind of what it made me realize, even though like social media is full of all this negativity and stuff, like
Right.
you and I come from a small town, and it's not like micro small, but it's pretty freaking small. And we're all a community here, and everyone for the most part supports each other, even though it's just like every other town. There's different little pockets of communities of people here that get along with each other better than others. But for the most part, if you put something online, people are pretty supportive. Kind of like going back to school. I mean, like not everybody gets along with everybody at school, but you sang in front of everybody and went back, and it was, astoundingly positive.
Right.
Reviews, plus, like, who the hell has the time to sit there and be like, that wasn't any good? And it's like, like, why would I care what you think?
Yeah.
Took time out of your day to say that. Are you serious?
Right.
Oh man. I mean,
Troll.
troll. Yeah, literally.
Internet
Yeah.
troll. No.
Did you ever get nervous singing in front of people? Like,
I get nervous all the time, but when I first started out singing younger, obviously it drove me nuts. But I think everybody should feel a little bit nervous before playing. I think it's a good thing. So to get those butterflies. I think if you didn't feel didn't feel any nerves at all, I think it would be weird.
yeah.
I kind of use that to kind of motivate me a little bit.
Yeah. I mean, there were very few shows that I was not, like just not nervous for at all. Like not even a little bit, not even a tiny bit. Like every show, I always feel like a little something where it's like, well, it's about time to play. It's like, and guess what? I have to pee now, and then it's just like, well, there it is. That was the nerves, something inside of you is just like gets you going a little bit. And like I said, there was very few times I wasn't nervous. And most of those times I was like ludicrously prepared, and so it was just like, this just comes down to execution and not,
But yeah, the same with me. When we practice it a lot and I go up and sing, I'm definitely more confident. Butterflies aren't as much as if I'm just winging something or haven't practiced it a lot. So
yeah, and I feel like you can internally feel that confidence when you're out there singing. You're like, this is good. We practiced a lot, and like you can get like halfway through a song and be like, yeah, this is awesome.
Yeah.
It's a rarity, but I mean, I've felt that with a couple different bands and a couple different places playing. And me and Bill talked about sometimes going and playing shows underprepared, which I'm sure that you've, just off the cuff been to a karaoke something and just sang a song that you're just like, oh, I didn't prepare for this. I didn't sing this in the shower once. Let's see what this is like or whatever.
My mom likes to do that stuff to me, and she's like, oh, I put in a song that you've never done before. I'm like, oh, why would you do that?
Yeah. Have I at least heard it once? Because otherwise I don't know what's going to go on here.
I hate it. But usually I get good feedback from those too, even though in my head afterwards, I'm like, that was horrible.
Yeah, I mean, but you also got to think there's people like me out there that I'm not trying to say can't sing, but I'm not the best singer. So there's people that have less of a talent of singing where it's just like you walk up to somebody like, that's insane. I can't believe you can even do that, and it sounded so good, because to them it does, maybe to you it doesn't, but like that was also the taking compliments after shows kind of thing. Where like it's tough to take those compliments after the shows. I'm sure you got plenty of them when you guys played the Rock and Picnic, and it's weird because people are like, that was awesome. And
it is weird.
And you're thinking to yourself, I ruined this one part of this one song.
I did.
Though.
There was one, I thought I did good, but there was definitely one song where I'm like, oh, I did not hit that note right. Dang it.
Yeah. And people don't care.
No.
And it's one of those things where like, you did all of this super amazing stuff and put all the time and energy and practice and came out here and executed it and only like had one tiny bit that was not perfect. Like, that's as far as anyone else is concerned. It's like, that's great. But, as far as I'm concerned too, musicians are like their biggest critics. We are our own worst critics, whether it be, I am my own worst critic, or sometimes like other guitarists will kind of just like, they'll give you the wink and stuff like, yep, that was good, and it's fun to go to like jam nights and see somebody kind of mess up, and it's not like everyone's laughing at them, but everybody just kind of smiles, where it's like, sour note, like missed that one, or whatever.
But we all have those moments. So.
Yeah. And that's some of the funnest parts about finding the right musicians to be around is, we're all kind of supportive and happy-go-lucky about the whole thing. And recently, I mean, I found my home for that at like jam nights and things like that. The community around here is really, Northern Iowa is really good for that. And I remember, what, 2 weeks ago, maybe you showed up at a jam night and you're just a singer. So,
Yeah.
so you're at the whim of like, what does everybody know? Do I know this song? Or like,
Right.
do you know this song? Or like, you're trying to fucking,
When I was trying to
I dropped an F-bomb. Oof.
ask around, like, can any of you guys play this one or this one? Which you guys pulled some songs off for me, but
Hats off to Clint Riedel.
And that's the same thing with me just being in this band. Sometimes it can be, I'm like, I kind of feel like, oh, am I bringing enough? Because all I have is my voice. I don't have an instrument, but luckily I have an awesome band, and they're all encouraging. And well, we've all known each other other than our drummer Christian, who I met for the first time because of the band. But I grew up with Will, just like I grew up with you and Bill, and even, well, I still call him Danza.
Yep.
But yeah, so and cool thing is Bill's actually tried getting me to sing in other bands. It just never worked out. It was never like the right people, and I just need to find the right people that kind of had the same interest in music, but also had families, because, I have a kid, I'm a single mom. So there's times where I want to be able to show up to practice and I have a babysitter, and I need to be in a group with some people that if I have to bring my kid to practice, he's going to have to come to practice.
Yep.
And so that I got lucky when Bill called me this, to get in the Screaming Artichokes, because I'm like, yes, we all are family people. And yeah, I mean, there's times, half the time Will has his kid there, Bill has his kid there. So and Christian's brought his kids there. So that was really cool.
Yeah, definitely. I was thinking while you were talking about that, I was thinking to myself, like, don't ever think you don't bring something to the table when we got the band, because I get it. Like, some singers, I've heard that common theme where it's like, I wish I could do more than just sing, but it's like, and I'm not trying to be mean here, but like, all right, then don't sing in the band and see what it sounds like. Is it It's not even the same band now. Make Will sing, like, well, it's not even close to this.
I've tried. I don't even know if he can sing. I've tried. I'm like, can you sing? Well, I was shocked he could jump on the drums the other day and all that. I'm like, can you sing too? Like,
yeah, it's pretty wild.
What else can you do?
And that's not a stab at Will or anything. But like I said, like, if you don't think you're adding anything to the band, just delete yourself out of the band and then listen to it. And it's like, well, that's not even the same thing. So you're adding something, and it's important. So,
well, and I know that. Another cool thing is there's not a lot of female singers in this area in bands. Yeah. And that's what I love about our band. And also the fact that Bill can sing, because we can actually have a male and female in the band. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, that is really cool. I bet if you brought in some keys, you guys would have a pretty formidable band to start playing a lot of shows around the area.
Yeah.
You've got you got some connections. Everyone in the band for the most part knows a bunch of people, and it could work out pretty well for you guys, I think.
Yeah, we would know by now, but COVID, so
yeah, and that's another rough thing, is to like, you got a small taste of it at the Rockin' Picnic, and then they were just like, no more anything forever, Like,
but I kind of like it though, because we were able to do that one show, and now we've been just practicing a lot, which is kind of cool, and getting closer, because we are a new band. So in a way, had it not been for COVID, we probably would have maybe done some shows, but it's kind of nice to just practice right now. So then when we do start doing shows, we'll be more prepared and not as nervous, I guess.
Yeah, but your first show was like in front of so many people. I mean, like
I loved it.
We're from a small town or whatever, but like...
And outside on a big stage.
Yeah, outside, big stage at a public park that was open camping, parking, the whole 9 yards, and hundreds of people there, and
it was awesome.
It's pretty wild for that to be like your first show, like... I'm not trying to say like the next shows might not be that cool, but it's pretty mind blowing that like you had the ability to go up there and play your first show in front of that many people, and pull it off well too.
Well, yeah. And my favorite part was a family friendly event. So, my son was there, my nieces, my nephews. And so, because that's one thing I love about singing too, is just inspiring the kids, and that's all. So that was awesome as well.
Oh yeah.
For them to see that.
Yeah, definitely. That's such a cool event to have the Rockin' Picnic. There were
I just love it.
There were a lot of performers that had their family members there that saw him play for the first time, and that's that's a really cool thing.
Yeah.
So if anybody hasn't heard about the Rockin' Picnic, I've done episodes on it. You can scroll back and look for some Scott Dahl podcasts or Rockin' Picnic podcasts. We discuss it quite a bit in there, but yeah, I mean, do you see yourself after COVID trying to like gear the band up to play a lot of public type shows, or what's the...
I think we haven't really discussed too much, but definitely do more gigs. Obviously, I do want to do some bars and stuff just because, we haven't done one, especially here in town, But I wouldn't mind doing not just bars, I'd like to do some family friendly stuff where we can invite our family and my son can come and watch me sing and all that stuff. So, whatever. I mean, I could see us playing pretty much whatever we want, really.
Yeah, and you guys do some originals with some covers.
Yes.
Yes.
Yep.
So like Bill does some songwriting. I'm sure everyone else throws their 2 cents in as well to help the song come along, you know. And so you guys can do a little bit of both if anybody's looking for a band maybe, in the 2021 area or something. This could be one of your options.
I've had people ask us even after that, hey, could you do a show for me? And, and at the time it was kind of hard because it was like, well, we're just starting. We didn't have quite enough songs, I think, necessarily to do a show, but also the right equipment to do certain shows like that. So that was something, we're trying to work on, is get better equipment. We've discussed, when we do shows, we could also line it up where there's another band, maybe that's more established that would work with us and stuff until we kind of get some better stuff. But
yeah, I mean, that's definitely a thing. You could like do the whole borrow gear, or like, hey, you guys have a show and it's 3 hours. Can you ask them if you can book 4 and we'll play an hour before you or something,
Right.
Or we'll play 40 minutes and then let you guys blow
Exactly.
everyone away or something. Those are good situations. And honestly, like I play a lot of stuff in like original band down in Des Moines, Three Finger Betty, and we play a lot of shows, but we've got a lot of like, we can play like 2 hours worth of material, in a night, which is a lot for a punk band, but it's also, we discussed it privately. It's like sometimes it can get a little tedious if one band is only playing like punk music for like 2 hours straight. It's like, give me a breather here, dude. Like, it could take a lot out of somebody. But I think it'd be fun to start having some of the original / cover bands mixing it up a little bit with some of the original bands. How cool would it be to have like, you guys play like a half an hour and then we play an hour and then you guys play like another half an hour and then we close for an hour,
Exactly.
And it's like, instead of having to play music over the PA, we've got a completely new, different band here to play during the breaks. That would be really, really cool. And things like that could happen. But I also think that the music scene is going to start changing when it comes back. That might be something that is seen a little bit more often, or maybe you might find people collaborating less. I don't know, but
well, hopefully more.
Yeah.
I like collaborating.
Yeah. I mean, I think it'd be pretty cool too to have like, I'm not trying to say like we should book a show together. Let's call the Poorhouse right now. But like,
no, we should.
It would be fun though to have like, Screaming Artichokes, Three Finger Betty at the Poorhouse, and it's like 2 bands with ties to Humboldt.
Oh, and I'm sure Macon would be fine with that.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, our band is not shy about going out and playing places. We're going to be more apt to play at a place that is, following PPE type stuff, like doing a little bit at least to try to keep the control down. So like we played at Lefties and they had like big social distancing type things with the tables like super far apart and stuff. So, nobody was getting up, jumping around and bumping into each other, and everyone was actually really far apart at that show. So it worked pretty well, but I also think that like doing live stream type things, maybe that'll come back. I don't know how many of you guys have tried or done anything like that, as far as like maybe thought about live streaming a show where it's like, hey, we're going to play and it'll be live on our Facebook page, from 3 to 4, and it's only going to be live there, but we're not, we'll save the video and maybe upload it later, or cut the best ones out and upload those. But I don't know if you guys have ever thought about trying something like that. Or
no, I don't think we've discussed that, but I have thought about that, but I haven't brought it up or anything. So I was thinking, with COVID, we don't know how long this is going to last. So, I was thinking about that the other day. I'm like, maybe just to get people hyped up, because we kind of did Rock and Picnic, and I'm like, everybody look at our Facebook page.
Yeah, you guys got a lot of likes.
We got a lot of likes. And then after that, there was really no activity because of COVID. There wasn't. So I'm thinking, well, maybe we should do something like that, or, start doing like recording our practices, just to post something and let people know, hey, we're still a band. We still plan on doing some shows of, when COVID kind of dies down. And, just keep people interested.
Yeah, I mean, even if you record a song and clip like 30 seconds out of it,
Yeah.
it's like, here's a snippet of us practicing, or like, we're still hard at it,
Right.
don't forget about us, or
Yeah, because our Facebook page, I think, kind of died. And so because of COVID, and I was just thinking about that the other day. I'm like, I need to talk to Bill about that. I'm like, maybe we should start posting a little bit.
yeah.
Well, with our recordings, we'll probably put some
I
stuff on there.
There's a really good podcast on that. I discussed it previously, but the Iowa Music Podcast, Mike Schulte did like an episode dedicated to the best like practices he has found for bands on social media.
Yeah.
Posting, maybe not every single day, but at least post once a week so people know you're doing stuff,
Right.
give them the opportunity to see it, and I do a lot of posting with Three Finger Betty and Audible Farm. It's just like about an everyday thing, but I've also found some of the tricks where it's like, if you share a YouTube link and it just shows a YouTube thumbnail, Facebook will bury it. They don't want people to see that because they don't want people to leave Facebook. So if you post like a picture, it's a little bit more apt to be seen, as opposed to like I said, a YouTube link. So then you're just like, well, the link's in the comments, and you just stuff it down there and make people, they have to hunt for it, but they can find it. But it's, Facebook won't just squash it right away. And that's what's weird about social media though too. Like, you can find yourselves like on fire 1 minute on social media and then nobody doing anything. Like, you could post something and it's like 40 people saw it. And it's like, what? Like,
Right.
So, but I don't know. Your guys' social media it's close to 1,000 likes. You might even have more than Audible Farm has on your band page, which is definitely
awesome.
Yeah, it's definitely saying something. Especially if you think about, like, I've interviewed so many people from so many bands and been able to swallow up like tiny bits of every different band's fan group, and I still only have like about 1,000 likes, and you guys are one band and you've got 1,000.
We've done one show.
Yeah. I mean, but it's still cool though. Everybody loved it. Everybody loved the show. It was really cool to have you guys, playing at the Rockin' Picnic. I don't have anything to do with booking the thing or running it. I just really enjoy the show. And this last year was kind of a weird one where some bands dropped off and then they had to like rebook some other bands, and then some bands that were originally going to play 2 hours only played a half an hour.
We got moved.
Yep.
But then we got more time. So.
Yep. And that's another tough one where Rockin' Picnic, it's just like, well, we've got enough songs to fill the set. You don't know if they're like, you guys got another half hour? And it's just like, oh God. Like, I mean, yeah, we can, like I've played at Rockin' Picnic one time where they were like, play an extra song. And me and Dan Blair pre-programmed all our songs with drums and bass beats. And that, because it was just us two playing with all that stuff going in the background, and it was like, we don't have anything else programmed, can't play anything else,
right.
So we didn't learn anything else. So that is also the benefit of going to shows over prepared though. When you like, you guys could have just shown up and been like, well, we will only have an hour worth of stuff, then they would have found something to do, but you guys actually had this stuff prepared and could play longer, so you did, and that's beautiful. Let's see what we got. I'm gonna look at my notes real quick here. I guess the only thing I have really written down here too much is like, how did you like end up meeting the band? Was it like Bill? Because you said that Bill kind of tried to coax you into singing live here and there. So is that kind of what got you involved?
Was it. Bill contacted me, and Bill's actually pretty much my neighbor.
Oh, okay.
And he, back with his other bands, H-Town Hooligans, which he was in when I was in roller derby. So they did help some of our roller derby stuff out as well. But, there was times where we did What's Up by Four Non Blondes back then. And we'd actually did a mashup of that with a Sublime song. And so I remember doing that with him, with his band back then. But, he just basically called and said, hey, I'm going to bring back Screaming Artichokes, which was something he tried starting a while back with other people. And he goes, would you like to sing? And I'm like, oh yeah.
That's awesome. That's so cool.
Yeah.
So it does kind of pay to know people too, but like at the same rate, like, you've known Bill for a while. He's known you can sing, and you've had that like little bit of history with him. So even just doing those one-off things here and there, it's like, you never know what it could bring in the future, and
right.
I mean, that's how I got booked in a metal band. Was I played with a punk band that played like 35 shows in a year, and it's like, that's almost one a weekend, every weekend, which is a decent amount of playing, So I don't know, you get seen and people are like, you want to do this thing? And you're just like, heck yeah, I do. And you got to strike while the iron's hot. Could you imagine what would have happened if you were just like, I don't know.
Oh no, there was no way. Well, and one thing that helped is, I have a son, and he's 8 now, so maybe it was if he was younger still, I could maybe see myself saying no back then, but it was good timing. He's older now, and yeah, it worked out great.
Yeah, definitely. I don't know exactly what your guys' social media handle is, but I will find it. It'll be in the description section, so look down there for Screaming Artichokes Goodness on Facebook.
Yes.
I'm not 100% sure. I don't think you guys have Instagram or Twitter or anything like that. But
No, I don't think so. We just have the Facebook page.
everything's all in one spot then. Easy to find.
Yep,
Definitely. I think we've got about everything I've written down. Is there anything I haven't really mentioned or talked about, or people we haven't given shout outs to, or any super important things in the life of Stephanie that I forgot to mention?
I think I mentioned everybody. Bill, Will,
You got
Christian, Danza. Well, Danza being in the other band, and he told us this after Rock and Picnic, because obviously that's his first priority, which I understand because I love watching them play. They're so good. But I'm pretty excited. We've got Danielle Harp coming and practicing with us next Sunday on the 20th, playing bass. It's been a while since we've had a bass player at practice, so I'm looking forward to that. So I'll give a shout out to Danielle Harp for
cool.
helping us out, and look forward to practice in a week with her.
That'll be cool. Yeah,
have another chick in the band.
Yep. I actually did talk to Nick Earhart not terribly long ago. That's Danza that's the nickname of Danza. It's Nick Earhart. So if you guys want to know more about him and his band, Riddle with Class, that's a great one. We actually brought that up a little bit in the Bill Lynn podcast. How H-Town Hooligans was actually as that fell apart, out of the ashes of that rose. Riddle with Class. So it's kind of cool that then you guys have Screaming Artichokes and Bill's in that, and
right.
And he was the head of H-Town Hooligans, and now the current head of Riddle with Class, Nick, is also in the band with you. Granted, he couldn't, he can't perform, always be there, whatever.
Right. And he said, anytime I can be there, I'll be there, which is awesome. So
Yep. And he's great at that too, just showing up and playing. I mean, he did that once at Rock and Picnic with a band that didn't have a bassist, and they were like, here's the notes if you want to play along with us. And he's like, I'm in, and he just out of nowhere.
Yeah, I was going to say he doesn't necessarily have to be at any practices. So.
Yeah, I mean.
He catches on pretty quick.
He does, definitely. And Danielle Harp, I remember seeing a picture. She posted a picture not terribly long ago of her playing in a band back in the day.
Yeah.
And I was like, I didn't even know she played bass guitar, and she's Danielle. For people that don't know Danielle, I haven't had her on the podcast, but I've had her husband Jared Harp on the podcast before from Americature. So that's really cool, that the music scene seems to be growing and blending around here just a little bit, which is really neat to me.
I do too. I think it's awesome.
Yeah, especially going to those jam nights and things like that. You get to see a whole pile of different people doing all this different stuff, like you said, Will's on the drums for some reason, sounds great, and
we love that, Mike. I'm glad we showed up a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, Will was just kind of hey, you want to jam with me sometime or whatever, and it's not always easy to find times, to jam, but when you've got a dedicated Tuesday night, this time, just show up and play, it's hard not to just show up and play, and especially to those things where it's well, we've got one guy brings a bass amp and a bass, and one guy brings a guitar amp and a guitar, and
well, I actually used to do a mic night back in the day with Matt Stubbs' dad in Fort Dodge. It was at the Eagles Club, but it was at that bar in the middle. I think it was called Spanky's.
Spanky's back in the day.
And I used to do that every week, and with Matt's Bill. It's Bill Stubbs, his dad, and I loved it. So this reminds me a lot of that. I'm that brings back so many memories.
Yeah, definitely.
And it was so much fun. So
I remember going to jam nights at
Did you go to that?
At Spanky's, when I was 16.
Yeah, well, I wasn't old enough either.
Yeah, well, I mean, that was back. That was back when there wasn't any of those rules and laws, especially not in Fort Dodge. And Spanky's was a place where you could actually, at one point in time, I believe, go there and eat food. So you could just be in there eating food or whatever.
Yeah, that's what I was doing.
And I was actually there with somebody I knew. Their father was just you should come to these jam nights with me, and I was like, I'll give it a go, and then I showed up there, and that's when I was just like, this is insane. I can't believe this stuff. And that's when I first saw like Eric Nelson from Hold for Swank play.
Oh my gosh, I forgot about that.
We're talking like 1,000 years ago. No,
I used to see a lot of Humboldt people show up to that.
Yeah.
Gosh, who was that? I can't. Josh. I think it's a mailman now. I can't remember
Josh
his last
Rupty.
name. Yes,
Yep.
he used to come to that.
Yep.
Thank you.
Yeah, he owned a guitar shop in Humboldt for a while as well.
Right, yeah. I remember he used to come to those too.
Yep. He was, I'd like to sit down and talk with him sometime or get him to play some more.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
I think he plays at a local church around here somewhere, if I'm not mistaken. So
I wondered if he did music still.
He's got to. He's too talented not to. I should hit him up and see what he's doing. But I do also know, kind of like you were talking earlier, he's got a family and a life and things like that. Not that I don't have a life, but I'm not married and I don't have a kid, and so I've got a little bit of more free time than some people. So, oh man, but yeah, we've covered about an hour here, and this was quick, easy, and painless. Honestly,
sweet.
I know we talk about this sometimes, but get nervous before you get on the podcast. Like,
no, this wasn't bad.
No, it was actually a really great episode, I think, and I'm glad everybody sat down and listened to it with us because, it's fun to have new people in the music scene. Even though you sang like karaoke and did all that stuff, it's like you might not be able to like call yourself in the music scene, but now you're in a band and you've played shows and you've come to jam nights and you're kind of throwing your name in the hat, and it's like, this is good. We need new people, fresh faces, because those jam nights, you never know who's going to show up, and you never know, because you came a couple weeks in a row and it was different people both weeks, and you never know, you might get some really crazy cool people there that are like, you should come sing with me at this thing.
I was surprised by how many people I knew. Scotty Rockstar.
Yeah, Scotty Rockstar started going to those too. And
that's cool.
Yeah, I mean, we've got some younger kids going to there, and I almost don't want to admit it, but they're like better than most of us because they're like
that bass player.
Yeah. Once again,
I didn't realize how young he was.
Yeah,
he's good.
Yeah, it's Owen. I'm going first name only for the youngsters until they give me permission, because I'd like to interview him.
Shout out to that kid.
Yeah. I believe Eric's the other youngster that's there. So amazing stuff. I hope they get comfortable playing and stuff like that. I want to get Eric up there playing more. So I love going to those jam nights. It took me a long time to actually get up there and sing in front of people and play in front of people at those jam nights, weirdly enough, and it's kind of cool that you just like showed up and you were just like hunting people down, like who knows what.
Well, I was nervous.
I want to get up there,
But I was like, well, I got to do it. I'm here now. I'm not going to just watch.
Yeah. I mean, that was the other thing. Like, not like Barnum's forever away, but it's, how would you like to drive all the way there and then just not do anything and then drive home?
Right, right.
Right. After a couple of times of doing that, I was like, I'm getting up there, and hats off to those guys for helping out and, playing songs I could play along with, or, in your case, playing songs that you knew, and like I said, hats off to Clint Riedel, because he's one of those guys that's like, I can figure out some chords that'll work to this, even if they're not the right chords, it'll work, and
there was a moment I almost said, well, maybe I shouldn't. And then it was him. He's like, nah, you're doing this. Mm-hmm. He starts playing the songs like, this is your song. Get up here. I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah, it was funny because he's playing some chord changes. And I'm like, what song is this? And I think he sang like the first line of it. And you were just like,
he was eyeballing me.
Yeah,
like,
you were just like,
it's you
okay.
now.
Yeah, oh yeah, I know this. This was the song I wanted to sing. So,
okay.
Yeah, and it's really fun being around those people and having them, Clint's always been one of those people. I've only known him for about 2 years, but he's always been one of those people who's just always happy. And you can just go hang out with him, and he's like, grab that guitar over there. Let's play a song quick, and he just picks up a guitar and plays and sings a song with you, and then just puts it back down and back to hanging out. And it's like,
that's cool.
This is neat. So it's cool to have people around in the music scene, new people showing up at jam nights. I'm glad you're there. I'm excited to see if you actually pick up a keyboard and start playing, because like I said, that would be insanely cool, just to add that little bit of extra stuff. So.
Oh, now I'm going to have to do it.
Oh, man. Stephanie, thank you so much for sitting down and talking with me.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Good time.
Oh, snap. There's another episode in the bank. Huge shout out to Stephanie Miller for swinging by and doing the episode with me. It's fun to sit down and talk with people, even if you've known them for a while and things like that, but it's also cool because I get to ask questions I normally would feel kind of weird asking for one reason or another. But it's fun to get people's stories. Like I said, I've known Stephanie for quite a while, and I kind of knew her story a little bit. But at the same time, there was some stuff in the episode I didn't really know too much about. So it's really cool to find out new things about friends and stuff like that. So hats off to Stephanie. I know she's been working really hard in her life the last, 10 years or so. So hats off to her. She's been doing really good, and appreciate her sitting down talking with me and enjoying a little bit of a chit chat. So thanks, Stephanie. Look forward to seeing you guys play live here sometime soon, hopefully. Let's see what goes on out there. There's shows out there. They're few and far between, but there are shows out there. And I don't blame people for not going to shows, and I don't blame people for wanting to go to shows and going to the shows. You guys can do what you want. Just be safe while you're doing whatever you're doing. And hey, while there's not much live music out there, there's still ways to support bands. Go to bands' Facebook pages and give them a shout out, or spin their tunes, or go to their Bandcamp pages, check out their merch, or whatever it happens to be. Just support those bands and let them know you haven't forgotten about them. I mean, there's definitely I don't know. I just want to say there's many ways you can support music, but if you want to support music, there's, like I said, Bandcamp pages. You can directly give them money, tip them, things like that. You can buy things from them. That way you actually get something instead of just handing them a tip, If you don't want to treat a band like PBS or something, you want something in return. So makes sense, And bands, almost every band I know has some form of merch somehow or whatever, and there's a increasing amount of Bandcamp pages popping up, so check those out. I'm a really big fan of bands with Bandcamp pages. I'm not sure why, but it's a great place. If you've got a CD or anything, you can put it up there available digitally for sale, and they even give you the opportunity to set up a merch place, so that if you have t-shirts and things like that, you can sell them there. So check those out. Otherwise, there are some other podcasts going around that I really enjoy listening to. If you guys are looking for those, find www.audiblefarm.com on your web browsers. Scroll to the bottom and you'll find a handful of different radio shows and podcasts and things of that nature in Iowa that I enjoy listening to. And a few of them have really kind of made me smile over the last few weeks while I've been searching for things to listen to. So hats off to all those people out there making all that content for everybody to listen to. I guess I'm one of those people too. So maybe not hats off to me, but hats off to those guys. I'm enjoying it. And that's kind of why I'm doing what I'm doing. I just hope I'm keeping up to par with the rest of everybody else. So if you guys are enjoying what you're hearing here, scroll back through. Maybe you find somebody else maybe you won't, but check out some of the past guests. And I appreciate you guys listening. Thank you guys very much. I will check you guys next week. Peace.